Hey, Ronan, you hear me? I think Remco is going to be joining in just a moment. Thanks for connecting. Sorry, we're getting a little bit late here, but we'll be on in just a moment. Remco.
Hey, Victor.
Hey, there we are. Sorry, I'm getting started a little bit late today. Shoot, we had some. I think we had a number of followers, but I think they dropped off because they didn't see any activity. Um, Anyhow, just wanted to say thanks. Just wanted to check in with you.
Sorry, what did you say? There was a little delay on the line.
Okay, yeah, I think there's been a. Uh, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get started because I think we lost some people here who had signed up. We had about 8 people. And I just wanted to check in with you to see if you're still on track for coming here to the EU summit.
Yes, I am. Yes, I will be flying into Barcelona tomorrow, 10:30.
And have you been to other ones in the past?
Yes, I have been to, I think one of the first ones in Berlin. That was a smaller setup, maybe just a couple of hundred people. Thomas and I have been acquainted for quite a number of times. And at that time, I was actually running a startup, so pitched on stage. And yeah, I've always been following and admiring what Thomas has been doing with the EU startups and the summit. And I've been there last year. It was a great summit. We had some awesome weather. some great startups, some great talks, and of course, I've been a panelist myself and also a panel host. So yeah, happy to be on stage again this year as well, like I
Okay.
did last year.
So what are you going to be discussing this year? What are you on? Which panel?
Yeah, so I have a couple of panels. The first one is the startup finances panel. So that's together with Preply, Novicap, Remote, and the managing director of the Silicon Valley Bank in the UK, Bailey Morrow. So that's going to be a very interesting talk. That will be on 2:15 p.m. on the first day, so on Thursday on the main stage. Then at the end of the day, 5:30, I will be interviewing Ewan O'Neill from the European Commission. So this is about so it's a panel discussion about new EU policies, initiatives, and funding opportunities for startups. Also joining me will be Rebecca de Sancho Mayoral, the presidency board member of the European sorry, I'm confusing a few things now. EIC Fund's investment manager, Rebecca de Sancho Mayoral, and the presidency board member of the European Startup Nation Alliance, Alberto Gago. So that's on Thursday, 5:30. And then on Friday as well, we'll be taking the stage together with Patricia Allen. She is the head of content at EU Startup. So we're going to do a media panel together with her. The host will be Kathy White. She's the founder of CW Communications, a PR agency that we actually work quite well with at Silicon Canals. So yeah, she's going to host me, Patricia, and Mike Butcher, who is the editor at large at TechCrunch. He's a familiar face in the tech publishing scene. So that's going to be all about how startups can handle media, what opportunities they are, how they can do that. So we'll giving all the full insight from the tech media perspective.
Okay. A quick question with Silicon Canals. Can you introduce yourself and what Silicon Canals is?
Yeah, no, perfectly. So Silicon Canals is a European technology news platform. So we cover the news from everything that's going on in Europe when it's related to technology and startups. So whether it's funding rounds from a very early stage startup that's doing very cool and nifty things to new unicorns popping up raising billions of funding, but also EU legislations and laws changes in that company exits, all those kind of things. So we're definitely one of those media companies out there. So if you see, for instance, in the US, you have plenty of media companies covering the tech ecosystem, and preferably Silicon Valley. You have TechCrunch, but also Wall Street Journal, even the local media do that. But Europe really doesn't have a lot of media companies covering technology and startups and the ecosystem. So we started out doing that first for the Amsterdam ecosystem, publishing in Dutch, and then sort of it grew to covering the whole of the Benelux and now the whole of Europe. We still have a strong emphasis on the Benelux, and we switched in English. We switched to English in 2016. So yeah, and there are a couple of us out there. So if you really want to follow the tech media landscape and what's going on in startups, follow us, of course, Silicon Canals, but also our competitors, Tech EU and EU Startups, of course, who are organizing the event tomorrow. Sorry, Thursday in Barcelona.
Okay. And so what advice might you give to a startup that needs to get some visibility with or to get onto or earned media, if you will, so that they don't make mistakes, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a publisher yourself, you often get press releases, of course, and you see, the sheer, well, the lack of quality, I would say, in the press releases. So I would always consult first is that, really dig into what kind of media you are reaching with what kind of story. I mean, we are really a tech startup media. So if you're sending us something about new travel destinations um, in Canada, that might not be so relevant for us. This actually happened to us today. Send us something about Europe, your funding arrays, your collaborations, your milestones, something that is relevant for us. So read what we publish. First do your research. Secondly, write a press release and write it in English. I mean, we have Spanish people writing us in Spanish. We have German people writing to us in German. We have Dutch people writing to us in Dutch. I mean, how difficult can it be to actually look up, hey, this is a publication that is publishing only in English? And these days with all these AI tools, go to DeepL, translate your press release, proofread it. I mean, even if the English is not perfect, I mean, as long as we get a good grasp of it, my team will make a good story out of it. And and thirdly is always send visuals, right? I mean, these days, online media, we rely heavily on the visuals that we get from people, especially if it's about company. We need to have some good imagery, some photos, some team pictures. Send them over and make sure that they're fit to publish and that you have the rights to it. I mean, we often get media, yeah, do you have the rights to this? No, no, we actually don't. We just took it out of the internet. What? You can't take pictures from the internet, right? We'll be in the world of pain if the likes of Getty and all these other copyright trolls will go after us. So yeah, make sure you have some good visuals to support your press release. And
Yeah, we've
yeah,
also found ourselves in a situation where they tell us that they have copyrights and they actually don't. And then we find out from the person who does have them, who is furious at us for allowing that to happen, but we've been actually lied to. So uh, definitely take your own pictures or make the investment to get a proper photographer to take care of it, or what do you call it? A digital design person to make sure they're conveying the right message and that you own those rights. Um,
exactly.
and what is it that you see as a potential error that people are constantly making that might trip them up in trying to get the visibility that you think they might need?
So can you clarify that a little bit? What do you
So
mean?
I get also a lot of PRs myself, and I see the mistakes. I get mine in Catalan and in Spanish. We're an English publication, so I go through the same process you do, and a little bit of frustration because I'd like to move quickly, but then they make it harder for me. Or they do give me good copy, but there's no images to go with it. Um, is there anything that you see that is happening that people could avoid doing this mistake so that you are more motivated or can act quickly?
Well, make sure that it's all in one email and don't ask for permission to send anything, just send something, right? Hey, can we send you a press release? No, of course you can't send us a press release. We're media. Of course you can. That's why our email address is for. And make sure to send a media kit over. And if you send a media kit over, if you're using Dropbox or Drive, make sure that you actually give access to it. You don't know how many times we don't have access, have to request access, and it just slows us down. We're always on the clock, right? We're a news outlet, so we want to be one of the first to publish. And if you send us something under embargo, make sure that others honor that embargo, and we will honor that embargo. But don't give us faux embargoes where you actually say, yeah, it's under embargo till Monday 9 a.m. and then give it to somebody else for 7 a.m. Right? That doesn't work like that. So if we see that
Okay.
somebody else breaks the embargo, we're going to publish as soon as possible. So these are all kind of things that if you try to avoid them, that will limit the amount of frustration and our willingness to be working with you again in the future, right? I mean, this is earned media. This is not owned. You don't have a say in it. And of course, that might be the biggest tip is don't act like we owe you anything, right? I mean, we're a media company. We decide for ourselves what we're going to publish or not. If you want to have a say in that, and if you want to have, every letter spelled out the way you want it, you can pay us and then we'll create an advertorial for you. We're actually quite good at creating really good advertorials, making sure that they work. But yeah, that's definitely something to avoid. And sure way to piss us off is act like you own us. Don't ever do that.
I think we have very similar experiences here, Remco. The other question I had for you is what is it that what benefit do you derive out of going to the summit?
So for me, I mean, I love Barcelona. I think Barcelona is in my top 5 cities in Europe. So for me, it's mixing business with pleasure. It's always good to reconnect with Thomas Orr, the founder of EU Startup Summit, and seeing what he's doing. He's always into events. We as a media company are not so much. So it doesn't hurt each other. I will do a lot of interviews as well with founders of startups and scale ups. So we're actually going to do a podcast ourselves as well, or we'll make short podcast interviews that we're going to publish. And yeah, so there's a lot of content for us to be made, and other than that, it's just networking and of course enjoying the parties. I mean, there's a rooftop party in the Cruces, Punches de la Cruces, what was it called again, around the corner from your office?
Well, that's going to be Casa de las Punchas.
Casa de las Punches, yes, thank you. That one, and also in Casa Gracia and in Mercer Hotel. So I'm going to be in all the fancy places. Yeah, so I will definitely have a good mix of business and pleasure there.
Okay. Is there anything? Are you going to be doing participating in the networking sessions?
Yeah, so I think I have plenty of networking going on already. So, I mean, I'm doing 3 panels on one fireside chat. So that's going to take up a lot of my time already. And then around that, doing, I think I've already have 4 or 5 interviews secured. So, other than that, I want to keep my networking serendipitous. And, just if people want to talk to me, I'll just share my WhatsApp and tell them where I am. The easiest way to find me always is probably if I'm not anywhere on stage or in an interview, I'll probably be in line for the coffee and getting me some café con leche de avena, and then yeah, making sure that I'm well caffeinated, or getting some sunshine outside. Yeah.
What about? Here's a question that I keep getting. It's the role of AI in writing and generating copy and content. Do you see this affecting your, I guess, our sector?
Yeah, in our sector, well, I strictly forbade all my writers to use ChatGPT. For the single and first foremost reason is that there's a very unclear state right now if we actually own the copyright. And if we're going to publish something, then I want to make sure that we have the copyright. Secondly, if we put something in there or write something there, it will not be written by us, right? It will be written by ChatGPT. And I want to make sure that my writers actually follow our editorial format and make sure that they get the full grasp and the full scope of the story. So they need to do that research. If they just put in a press release in ChatGPT and let them handle it with a little bit of research, even besides if it's flawed or not, I did some tests and it will miss the most important things in that story for us because we have certain angles that ChatGPT can't get. So for now, I will really rely on writers to actually do our bidding. However, I do believe that AI is going to be a huge, an incremental part of writing in the future. We already use Grammarly, which is an AI based tool, and I've instructed my team to also look at DeepL. So DeepL is doing they have a writing system that you can use. They're known as a translating tool. So I always tell everybody, just translate with DeepL. But they also now have a writing assistant in beta, which I think is really, really nifty. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a role for AI, but not just like write all our content. I think it should be human-assisted AI that will write our content, and the tools are still heavily flawed at the moment. So, yeah, humans it is.
And how about, is there any particular company or sector that you would like to know more about in this year's summit?
Oh, well, companies. You mean someone participating on the stage or the ones visiting?
Yeah, either one.
Well, I haven't mentioned that yet, but I will having a fireside chat with Grover, Grover.com on Friday. So with the founder, whose name escaped me a little bit, but I can look that up for you if you bear with me a little bit. No, so Grover is a very interesting platform because what they do is, you can just call it a leasing company for hardware. So let's say you need a laptop or you need a phone, and you don't have the money to buy it right now. You can actually lease it for I think a minimum of 6 months. And of course, for businesses getting started, that's just a huge thing, right? They don't have to buy things. And I really believe in the subscription economy. My previous office, we had norm furniture, so basically it was just leased furniture. After the office stopped, they stopped with our co-working space. They would just ship all the furniture out instead of just throwing it away. and with a lot of other things. I mean, of course, Netflix, Spotify, we're already accustomed and used to it. In the Netherlands, we use Swapfiets. I know Swapfiets is also in Barcelona, where you can actually have a subscription on a bicycle and even electric bikes. And I think owning stuff is the stupidest thing you can do. I myself drive a hybrid car called Link & Co. I know they have a big flagship store on Diagonal in Barcelona as well, if I'm not mistaken, and a flagship store in Amsterdam too, in Rokin. It's a shared car service. I can share my car. Well, I'm driving that car now for half a year, and nobody's actually willing to share it with me or have ever borrowed the car. But I still think that's the way forward, right? I mean, car ownership, hardware ownership. It's much better to not own things, but rent it out, and only use the things that you really need, rather than just more consumerism. That's a very interesting conversation that I look forward to. Besides that, it's a huge unicorn, and the business is very interesting. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to be with us here. I look forward to seeing you at the networking things. I've been asked to coordinate two networking, speed networking on Thursday morning and on Friday morning. But I'll be going to the post-event, I guess, activities. And if you have a chance, please let me know. I'd be delighted to welcome you back, because you've been here before. And we'll be there with my team all day Thursday and Friday. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, will be good to have a cafe con leche together, as we like to do in Spain, right?
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's all the questions that I had. I really wanted to make sure that you're welcome. Always willing to promote the EU Startup Summit, because Thomas and Anastasia and Patricia, the whole team is doing a great job, and it's great to see all the different startups around Europe. I'm very fortunate to be within the ecosystem of just Barcelona, but it really is cool to see different companies coming in and descending from other parts of the EU.
I'm sure we're gonna have a blast, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, I'll see you there.
Thank you so much, Victor, for the interview. Sorry for running late, and yeah, big fist bump to you as well.
No problems. I know what it's like. It's been a crazy schedule, but it's the good problems to have.
Exactly. Cheers.
Okay, take care, buddy.
Ciao.